Look at the massive light screen, directing lines of panels or anything in the communication settings, time positions, calculations. Point tracks of everything, right? It's very powerful when you actually see it. But how do we see through perception is the question. How do you see things? How do you want to see things? It's all through the mind. Mind and navigation is everything, and you all have to come back to that. Let me say that again. You all have to come back to that. Once you come back to the mind itself, everything comes in time. That's all connected to your heart. That's all connected to your soul, right? Going through the mind of travel, not traveling through the mind anymore. The frequencies are at that certain point of communication line, sending how you see yourself, box triangulation or triangulation box. But you have to learn how to navigate. You understand to go through time to the heart, understand what the soul is doing as it's going through the mind to travel. And what is the body doing through its reaction of consciousness? Because it has to be conscious of everything that it does. And again, what do you see through perception? That's your reality. Let me say that again. What are you seeing through your perception? That's your reality. And how you see your reality, do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself in the past? Or do you see yourself in the now? Or do you see yourself in the present? Or you don't see yourself anywhere? Okay? Perception is everything. The power of perception. Okay? The video location settings with Will Smith. Proved it right there, right? It's all digitalized. Everything's digitalized. Everything's computerized. And that's what we're all coming back to. We're not coming into something new. Okay? We're coming into the memory of what's already been done. So to understand that setting is to understand there's no future. You just exist in the now. But what does that mean? I just exist in the now. Well, it's all about understanding you, where you came from. Like I said, you don't know where you're going until you know where you've been, right? That's a very high level. Now, the teens in that concept. The species are more an adaptation of memory to understand that process when they get into that setting to be cautious of what they say now because of the images are going to be a lot more stronger force, which means everything that you say, it will come into your reality. Because it's automatically going to be in a mind switch line connection to your body of consciousness. That's right. The mind, the heart, the soul, and the body is going to go in that settings and set locations. So you don't need to come into the now. You come into the existence of the now. Okay? That's the different location setting. We go into the cerebral. Now, the cerebral gets in a high calculation line at how to use your connections to your system of your placebos. You're not connected to your thoughts. You're connected in line connection on levels of its images now. So your images are creating schematics, which is creating structure, which is creating a drawing. Okay? So it's important you understand how to use that in all ways and forms. And that's set locations, right? Getting into travel lines or manifest or anything is structured design site location is really understanding the manifestations of abundance through over calculations of pi. Never use pi as a reference because it attracts your line centers and high position in your system. So what that does, it puts you in a different direction. Site locations like setting calculations with settings of a track where, and it goes this way. It's supposed to go straight, but it goes that way, right? So somebody, right, changed it. So you have to be very cautious in what you do with your thought line screens because the mechanism of high position force line is coming to higher calculation of data. This is the process you guys have to understand how to get in position locations and all line settings and all formation and all track location and line center interference to its position locations of a key of traction. And that's a key. What is a key? What's the purpose of a key? What does that all mean, right? Seeing other dimension lines of space and travel. Travels out, sets position to its location systems, and setting connections, right? Monotones, high travels, high positional, low security. So what is the key? Set a correlation setting to your calculations, location grid. Okay? Sets modulation screen center high interference in position locations and all track line conditions. And set lines high interference, face recognition. Okay? So it's all calculated modified. I mean, you look at your locations, your screen lines. This is your theta box in set location. So what is the key, right? What is the key to success? Right? What is the key to failure? What is the key to humility? What is the key to being humble in all settings and traction? Files of communication. So that's what happens when you get your datas and your uploads, your uploadings, downloadings, uplinkings, upgrading systems. You get it through information of files and files and files, right? All through a data box. It's a line connection. All through process and position line connections. A data box. Okay. So in line calculations and locations, understand how to use the energy line through its key formation screens. Direct lines of communications opens all levels of travel. Point lines of high calculation. Okay. Mechanism high force lines, the key lines of high center interference is location of your gatekeepers. Now, gatekeeper basically protects the dimension in setting calculations. Okay. So in that line of calculation lines, you have files and files of data, right? Bulk of information, right? Title lines, stream lines, high calculation position programs. Okay. So understand calculation lines. The actual key is in the center. Okay. So what is the actual key? Key equals the lines of what? Let's go into the ancestry, celestial channel, communication lines. Key equals what? Somebody take a guess in line settings. What is the key? What is the key? And set location. The Ankh. Okay? Key equals the Ankh. Now you understand, right? Process position lines of the key line is understand the information screen interference, how it comes in your position location and travels of astral projections in line setting in all the levels of adaptation. Okay? Through the heart, through correlations of the mind and the soul. 3-track lines of provision, astral projections. Soul identification. Okay? All through a book. Everything travels, everything travels, everything travels in set location. Okay? So now you understand what that means. Because there is ancestry and there is celestial and all lines of communication to its over soul that's already been through its travel, through its heart. Heart is the mechanism lines of time, which is its reactor. The mind's the navigation of everything that it's done in location of levels of GPS lines, mapping sequence, map coordinates, longitude, latitude, you name it in set location, streaming, line settings, high calculation of its position programs, right? But you have to understand the process of the 4 because it equals the 5, which is your 5th element. Coming into the 5th element puts you lines in a 2-track location of 7 waves of volunteers. Okay? 7 waves of volunteers equals consciousness. Okay? The super of its consciousness, putting everything in position, line calculation setting to its key of its formation of its ancestry and its celestial channel and set location of travel. In all position locations. Okay? All right. So getting in the intelligent lines of the pharaohs and the meridians and all the calculation system, it's all calculated and modified as a metaphor. So when you're given intelligence, it's given through a key and the gatekeeper. You put 2-track together as in set location. What do you have in line calculation setting? What do you have? Flux capacitor, travel calculation line setting. Isn't that amazing that this looks like a key? Look, it's shaped of a key. Where's my finger? Where's it going? What's it doing through travel? See how it travels? It's amazing what light can do through travel locations. Right? Identifies you in all ways and forms. See? It's incredible. It's amazing. It has intelligence on its own set location line because it pays attention to everything. So you should be paying attention to your voice. Everything that you say affects everything you do. Because this is recording every second, every minute, every hour that you do in set locations. Okay? Is it a coincidence that we got 13 line screens and that set line interference equals lines of 1? What is 13? Set line calculation line interference, higher self calculation line interference, and one ground set location. Higher self, right? So what is the 13 line screen? If it's adaptability lines, a rotation line surface, and an all track location, what is 13 lines of 1? Right? Higher self and the grounds. That's the image. And its applications. If you want to get technical, it's one of this line connections. 1 is 0, and 3 has 3 zeros in separation. 1, 3. Right? See how that works in traction? Okay. So 13 is the connections to what? Higher self, okay, equals the grounds. Okay, so that's the image. And it's all in process. See how easy it is to understand that? That's the foundation that you guys have to understand is always going to be in a point of view is we understand how to use it through your schematics, how to use it through its operation, how to use the CPU, how to use it through your transformation system, how to use it through correlation, how to use it through light, how to use it through travel, how to use it through the mind, how to use it through the heart, and how to use it through its consciousness of the body. Okay? But it's very simple when you look at that and say, whoa, General, that's really interesting. How this actually comes into 0 and 3 0 locations, how actually 13 equals lines the higher of its grounds. So what is happening in the set locations? This is set lines of calculation. This is your higher self on the ground set locations of Mother Earth. Okay, that's 13 equals the grounds. The grounds line connections is your Earth line connection. That's where you are in perception. Okay, that's where the higher self is. That's its image. Pretty easy, right? So if you understand this, then you understand your data. Then you understand your keys. Understanding the process, how you get the keys to your universe line, but you have to understand the frequencies. The frequencies of space and time is a 3-track vision and a 4 calculation line screen. You travel, right? Says position line centers. Now remember, the sun is just a line center location. Everything is metaphorically designed for you to understand as your memory. So the actual sun is just a projection of a film strip, okay, with a projector. So understanding the projector is understanding the projection of the perception of what you're seeing. And again, where are you in your reality when you're looking at things? Because that tells you exactly where you are in your data. A process of communication of files and application of travel. Okay, 4 line settings or a 3-track location. Okay, puts you in all line settings into your theta communication. Right, theta box. Remember I told you about the mainframe? Mainframe, box frame. Mainframe, box frame. Okay, mainframe, box frame. So once you understand the particle line screen and position your Earth line, that's your Earth. Right? Set locations, astral. Okay. So you got a communication line screen interference location. So what is the Earth line in position to its astral? Rainbow bridge. Everybody's going to love that. Okay. What's across the rainbow bridge? Frost bridge. All right. So once you understand the calculation of your Earth and position your astral, you're actually looking at position location. So what's crossing settings? It's already in its existence. What is walking in set line connecting your settings? Your memory. You're going through the rainbow bridge to get your memories back to the frost bridge. Mega multi-pass. So that puts you in a high calculation line centers and all track locations to your settings through the keys of your universe and set location. All through data. Okay. So once you get into that, everything comes in information. Everything comes in that calculation line settings. Then you understand all track locations, how this becomes the higher self, its grounds. You see the image, you see what's going on, right? So that's a structure that you guys have to get out of. There's three wave cycles, connections, line centers, Earth, the powers, and the atmospheres. Okay, higher self, avatar, sim. Okay, mind equals navigation. Avatar equals GOD. We got that calculation line screens. And higher self is what? The connection to the Earth. Okay, because that's what you're working with first, right? Now you get two panels of communication, you bring it down and set it. You split the anomalies. Travel lines, 4-track location, but you need a provision lines of 3. Sets lines of communication, creates the hologram. Travels position, travel calculations, point center. That's how you come into right over left, left over right, right? So you're creating lines of 4 lines of signature screens and 3 lines of signature streams. Right over left, left over right. That's how you create the hologram. That's how you communicate to its intelligence, to its mind and navigation, right? The avatar is just basically the connections, levels, schematics, the drawing, the structures of travel. Creating lines, higher levels of modifications of teleportation units. So the set line's highest interference is positioned to its setting, which is actually the teleportation unit and track location. Okay. So the avatar equals correlation standard travel lines equals higher interference XT. Okay. Now the Earth line calculation line center is always working with 0 in a position of 12. Okay. 12 track lines calculation line interference going up and going down cross location. Right. So what's the indication going up and going down, right? That's the correlation in a horizontal line screen. That sets the signals and settings. The direct signal location comes into your transistors and resistors. So know exactly how to do that from a foundation graph line, change the rhythm tones to set location, coloration, screen settings, and travel. Puts position line, right? So understand how fast you're going is its settings, its applications, right? So it's like crossing fingers and very fast in set location going through waves, crossing signals. But you're not in quantum interference. You're in a continuous flow. As long as you're in a continuous flow, you can cross all you want. That's not quantum interference. That's balance. So you're creating electrical grid lines and high interference to create a positional location of a fence and set location of travel settings and travel. Okay? So once you get into that, you understand more levels of the transistors and resistors to binary settings, because that is the binary right there of its structure, of its drawing, right there in set location. It's UFO. It's set design. There's binary, right? Binary. Everything you're saying is binary. That's in a compound, that's in its volume, that's in its mass, velocity, and acceleration of Mach. But you have to understand everything that you come into is its image on its own setting into 4 tracks and lines of grids and a 3-track line connection to provision. Creates the hologram structure design. Mind of navigation, avatar and set location and teleportation. It's binary. And a higher self line is trying to get in the transistors and resistors, the balance of the earth and seismograph activity, so it doesn't cause a ripple effect. So it has a smooth transition over in track location from 0 to 12 in calculations of your DNA setting in all set locations. Okay. All right. So getting into that track lines is really understand how to get your abundance. Abundance comes in all ways and forms. But what is abundance to me? How do I receive abundance? Well, you don't receive it. It's already, you've been received. You've already received it, but you don't know when. See, everything is in chronological order. Everything has to be in order. That's order. This is a graph. All this is in order. Nothing is out of order. Okay, traffic flow, direction, time flow, high calculation flow, direct and sig location of zeros and ones flow. So everything's in order, right? So in track line communications, every time you speak, the ones, the zeros are traveling. The zeros, the ones are traveling, okay? The ones, the zeros are traveling, okay? But it's going in the same direction, see? It's always going in the same direction, different tone, different frequency, different panels, different communication, different space, different time, but it's always going in the same direction as applications. It has to go in the same directions. So in setting high interference, it's position line calculation, which is what? Over pi. Over equals pi. Okay? Over equals pi. Now, if it doesn't equal over pi in position, you're under score. You're under underlays, all right? Your position overdrive, over mass, over calculated, right? So in that position line connection settings, anything over is a track locations in position going forward in track lines you're setting, okay, over pi. So it's all going in the same direction, right? So you're good to go, right? So your seconds, minutes, and hours are already in that setting. So you got 54 million lines of screen interference to track locations. You split the anomalies of positive and negative, then you got a problem. Okay? You shouldn't have a problem with the seconds, minutes, and hours because you know the positive and the negatives are going in the same traction. So it's like I got a lot of connection lines of metal. I throw it up. Where's it going? Is it going in the same direction, different locations? That's what it's supposed to do. Okay? Positive, negative has to go in the same direction, but different locations of intent, different files. So it's like a mailman going, know exactly which slot it's going in. Okay? That's how it works in set locations over pi. Okay? If it's going in the opposite direction, what is happening to the zeros and ones in chronological order? Zeros and ones get combusted and formulate in line conditions of travel. That confuses their anomalies in set location and position of flow of calculation. Right? Causes disturbance, causes frustration, causes confusion, causes separation. Now you got positive, negative to deal with. So positive, negative doesn't come into formation. Okay? Because something exists is now in its percentage. Now you got to deal with it through emotion. See, to get abundance is to understand there is no positive and there is no negative. Because then you're going to ask yourself, why do I have positive now? Because now I have to understand what that means. Well, you shouldn't have to understand what that means because you already know what it is. It's the meaning that's meaningless of its meaning. Hoo-ah! Track, location, and setting. Okay? So always go in the same direction, but different locations. Understand? That's what you got to get balanced with because your images and your files are going to different locations, but you're not understanding through traction, through emotion. You can't add emotion to equation because it overrides your pi. Okay? All right? So, these are the things that we don't focus on. Okay? Because your memory doesn't understand the difference. Okay? It's like you're trying to understand when you're looking at color, how basically male and female see different color inside locations, right? Is that true or not? Well, I don't know. That depends on the person and perception, how they see things, right? So, you got to look at the way you see things of your reality, how you see things through triangulation, how you see things through box. So box to triangulation is how you see things, the perception. Or you see triangulation through box locations. See? How you see things. Okay? Male, female. Polarity now. All right. So that's understanding more lines of you and mechanism line calculation setting to see your mind line connections. So abundance comes in all forms. Once you understand the key, what is the key? Well, it's in relation to understand the frequency. It's understanding the vibration. To get into that process, to understand your universe, okay, is to understand you through yourself because you are your universe. You're not going to your universe. You're not reaching for something. You're already there of its existence. Okay? So in that setting, the more you understand when you are speaking, you're speaking where you need to go, right? Where the positive and negative is going in the same location, but in different locations of directions of images. Okay? So if I get a plaid 2 division line screen and 3 track lines here. So inline conditions, this line settings. Okay. All right. So this is what I have right here, right? Just combine it up in set locations, right? So I get all that, right? That's all my images, right? So this is about understanding the triangulation line screen, set position lines of provision, right? So you know exactly where it's going through with zeros and ones. So box line centers, right? Male, position of female, set location. You're ready to go. Travel, right? So you got your files in position. You got your projection screen interference. You got your track line connections. Your all-level operation triangulation line connection interface. So when you do this, you go through images. They go in different locations. Okay, really interesting. All right, so let's put the travels here. Change white. So we go in this locations, right? Some go here, some go here, but it's going in the same direction, and some go here. Okay, that's what it is in traction. Okay, you're going forward, but different locations. All right. So if they're not going in different locations, now you're adding positive equals lines of negative. Now you got to deal with the positive. Now you got to deal with the negative. Because you don't know what you're doing through navigation now. So what are you creating line calculations of? A dimensional solar sail and track location. Ooh, it disappeared. See? It's too fast, right? You see the sail? See it? There's the sail, right? It's going in that continuous flow. And the sun guides it through light, and the moon guides it through motion. Oh my gosh. Boy, does that make sense. Okay? Now, I'm showing you how you can get and receive abundance by doing this in traction. How you basically get a lot of this metal balls, throw it up in the air, and it goes into the same direction, but different locations. That's how you manifest. All right. So again, don't add positive and negative, because then you got to question yourself. You got one big question in setting. One big question. No. Question becomes affinity A, which is already answered. And if it's already answered, it becomes yin and yang, which is a setting line conditions of what? Calculate the position locations of what? Attractions. What is it doing through travel? What is it doing through mechanism? What is it doing through force? What is it doing through calculations? What is it creating? Parallels of dimension. See? Split the anomalies, and it creates the calculation line screen in high position of its operation. See? Infinity 8. Process position line centers of 6 in locations, and all lines in high center appearance in position. Yin and yang. Okay? So we all understand the process. There's some more lines of communications, how to get into that through manifestation. How to use the seconds, how to use the minutes, and how to use the hours. Now, everything through seconds, minutes, and hours is a 3 o'clock location, right? Seconds is a clock, minutes is a clock, hours is a clock, right? So it's calculating high position location of the mind. Remember, the mind equals the navigation. Remember, the heart is through the time, just trying to get you guys in high information to understand location of reactors, because your body's reacting to every locations. And then you got a calculation line interference, which is your soul. Okay, equals light. That's how you have to see yourself through clocking. Mind and navigation. Okay, getting connection to your settings. Okay, how to understand the heart through time, and understand the soul through the light. So you're going through the mind, you're going through travel, all levels of operation line connection to your setting and calculations. Okay. Seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay. All right. So the clocking comes in line setting, how you come into travel mechanisms. And this process, your system, location, your settings. Don't find a way to create anything through positive and negative, because you come into big question. Now you got to understand, why did I bring positive and negative, or why did I bring negative over positive? I don't want to overline the sequence lines and negative line screen interference. That's too many default channels I got to bring back to original line design. I don't want to set a positive over negative line interference location of channel lines, because that sets all communication and separation of the mind. Okay? So don't add positive and negative. As soon as you don't add a positive and negative, you'll receive abundance right away in the 3-track lines in position to different locations going in the same direction. Okay? It has to go in the same directions, right? Or it just gets in the cluster. See? It comes in a cluster, it comes in confusion, all levels of adaptation line screen. You don't want that. You've got to stay in over pi. Okay? All right. Time sequence panels and correlations and attractions is really letting yourself know how to see yourself through perception more and more each time, right? You're never going to stay in the line conditions until you understand your vision. You're not going to understand the vision until you understand your mind through travel. You're not going to understand your mind through travel until you understand your heart through time. You're not going to understand your heart through time until you understand your soul through light. You're not going to understand your soul through light until you understand your body of consciousness. This is about being aware. It's not about manifestation. Okay? It's about reclaiming, recollecting, redesigning, reforming everything back into your memory as allocations. Okay? So in that position lines of power, direct lines of highest interference to 2 atom line rotation centers and 3 clock locations. Okay? 3 clock locations right there. All through communication. All right? Intelligence. See? See? Intelligence. See the formation line screen? Look. See? Intelligence. Boom. So you are always in the center calculation line interference of your clock lines. You got correlations of tracks, direct lines, positions, and perceptions over pi, and triangulation. Okay, so you're always in position of the sun. The sun produces the light tractions, light motivation lines, pixelation screen, high calculation line interference. The sun and the moon always have light, right? The only difference is the position of the sun is the track location of its mind and navigation, and the moon itself is its behavior location is staying within that line setting. Stay in your own field, stay in your own lane. If you get off track location of travel, this is what can happen in set locations, right? There's your moon. Okay. So in position line connection high center. So let's do it again in setting. This is your moon. Okay. Off, on. Okay. Too much confusion on screens. Direct signal and position of panel. Solar sail in the direct settings and going forward in track location of 4 settings. Right? This is off calculations going back force line setting conditions. Okay? So the moon basically keeps the line signal straight, and the sun puts the guidance on setting lines of its dimensional sail, sees through the light through its tunnel. And all set locations, and all calculation modifications, and all track locations in high setting. It disappeared. So I really want you to understand how this all works. Because once you get into more lines of communications and you get out of the equations of positive and negative, you're good to go with manifestation abundance. It gets much easier. But don't focus, okay? Especially if you don't understand something. If you look at a coffee cup and set locations and settings, there's a coffee cup, right? So in that track line, so you're here. Very simple line conditions. You're sitting down. Okay, that's you sitting down, right? So the coffee cup communicates with you right away. Now, do you understand that? That's great. Then you communicate back, and then you put your fields up because you don't know where it's been, right? So understand that line conditions, because the thing is, there's a reason why that coffee cup is communicating with you, because it's in its own data, its own information of its own operation, which is data streams in set location, right? So that's information coming back to you over time, right? So once you understand the process, the actual cup itself comes out of its dimension of space and time and communicates with you, right? So, and then it's here, having a conversation with you in the now in set location. Okay? And again, what are you looking at all formation? What are you looking at all formation? Intelligence. See? Everything has a face of intelligence line screen. We already got in the correlation setting attractions, but I just want to show you through provision when you're communicating, and all calculation modification is coming back to you through files and data in chronological order and set locations. Okay? It's very powerful when you come into that. Okay? And so when you do these things, try to get into balancing everything that you're seeing. Why am I seeing this now? I just received that data. I have to understand the process. Okay, I got an upload. What's an upload? We're going to get into that because you're going to have to know the difference too. Uploading, uplinking, downloading, upgrading are totally different things, guys. Upload. Okay. Let's get into download. Okay. Let's get into upgrading. I've done this before already, but you have to understand your settings and travel and also locations, because this helps you out in all formation. All right. So we get upload, download, and upgrading, right? So what is an upload? What does that mean? Upload. It's uploading the uplinkings in travel. Okay. What is download? Download is receiving. So that means it's down. Okay. What is upgrading? What is upgrading? Memory. Woo! You see now? You have to understand the settings and all calculation modification, how this all works. When you get upgrades, you get a memory. Okay? When you get it uploads, it's uploading your uplinkings. Okay? And downloads are processing. Oh my gosh, that makes sense. Okay? So you guys got to get into that information, especially when you get your datas. All right? Yeah, well, Morpheus, I'm trying to help you so you can help yourself. But you have to understand I'm getting uploads. It's totally different than an upgrade. Okay? You say upload is not an upgrade. Download is not an upgrade. Uplinking is not an upgrade. Upgrading is your memory. Yes. So you understand the process now, how this all works, right? So when you get your memory through your upgradings, then you do what? You upload the uplinking. Oh my gosh. Right? So uploading is the uplinking. Okay? Downloading is the processing. And upgrading is the memory. Okay? Go in that chronological order when you get those files. Okay? Files. Files here, download. Right? That goes into you. Okay? Uploading is instant error calculations. Okay? Uplinking is in high setting location. And memory is in very high calculations in memory, which is the highest. Okay? That's how it's processed. Okay. And so getting the files and communication line screens, guys, you have to really understand how to modify all this application in your system, because it correlates your settings and tractions, especially when you come into your 4 lines and 3 signature patterns. Sets lines of 7. Right? 7 equals waves, so volunteers. That's where you guys are coming into, right? Setting. Okay. So that's going to be line settings into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do we have in mechanism? And set locations. That's what you're coming into. Okay. Space grid line screen, high interference in the UFO location. Okay. Travel line signature lines in 1 signal in setting. 2 signals, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Setting communication line interference in track locations and set location. Okay. So knowing exactly, you have 7 provision line cycles, but you're going through the same cycle in set locations. That's what happened with contact with Jodie Foster when she was going through multiple levels, right? Connecting high interference into the connections of, well, you guys refer to that as the Einstein-Rosen bridge, but it's not an Einstein-Rosen bridge, right? It's a division line screen. It's all levels of high calculation, high position programs. It is a bridge, but it's a walking signal line communication setting of a beacon light travel calculations, point centers. So travel position lines is its location grid, a travel into its location grid and line setting. The operation line interference is its dimensional of space and time, which is its wormhole and track location. That's what it is in travel. Okay. But it looks like you're going through 7 different lines. You're only going through 1 set locations. So 7 structure line settings of all calculation wormholes, right? Go like this. Really, really fast, but in 7 directions all at once. All at once in combination. Data streaming inference, I perceptions over pi. Now this gets interesting. Tractions. All levels of communication. Okay, all levels of communications. Okay. All levels of communication. All right. So the 7 ways is basically going to get you a higher calculation time to rotation surface, understanding your Earth perception lines and how you see your location, your perceptions. How do you see your track lines and files and data and process calculation, uploadings, downloadings, and upgradings? Okay, of travel into your location grid. See? Simple, right? And this is the wormhole. And travel. Okay, this is the wormhole. Okay, that's what you go through, right? So then you have the 2 panels. Okay. And line calculation setting and travel communication comes in all set in high interference of face recognition. See? All right, so in that traction, it gets interesting because it's the Earth, right? There's the Earth line connection. Now the perceptions over pi correlates the correlation travels in direct signals. Okay? Really interesting. Secure lines of defense line is screen location. But you need the line settings of space and time and tractions. Right? It's got to be balanced on both side location. Okay? So in that track line calculation high position locations, it formulates in high setting. Now in that calculation, you come in electrical all line rotation, eye perceptions of data. Okay? This is what you guys are coming into. Okay? Waves and waves of data have 7 signature screens. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 waves of volunteers of data ops, communication omni highways, dimensional line screens, and high center location. Okay. So getting into that process is understanding your system, how to travel through that. Coming into this and track locations and position. Throwing it up, traveling in the same direction, just different locations. That's what you're coming into. 7 waves of volunteers. 7 waves. Okay, all at once. All right, so once you get in that settings, it gets much easier over time. Time sets you free and set location of its existence. Okay? But it's amazing how this looks like a key formation because it's listening to everything I'm saying. You know, it actually listens. It listens, and that's what we have to do. We have to listen to our own voice because we don't understand the mind and navigation of what we're saying. Okay, it's very important what you're saying because it reflects everything that you do, everything you hear, everything you connect to, because everything is connected to you through consciousness. And that's information that we're coming back into. Okay, so I know, it's powerful stuff, isn't it? Yes, it's a great class, but I'm just showing you exactly how you guys get your abundance now. This is going to help you in all formations that you have to focus on, right? So really get into that setting. That's the 7 ways of volunteers. We start out with 3 volunteers in settings. That's just getting you guys into your Earth, your positioning your powers and your atmospheres. Now that's 3 track vision lines of the triangulation, right? 3 clocking line centers and position line connections of Mother Earth, right? Now we're coming in equaline into all line center high interference in track locations. Okay, equaline calculation line is your flywheel and traction, right? Okay, so you get the female in position, you get the male in set locations. Female line centers is track location in space, male. The calculation line interference of time with Mother Earth is male, female. And track locations. See the positions, you guys don't want to get confused that setting, right? So process positions all of the triangulation line calculations inside high interference. The inhibitors over pi track line in this high set location is male, female. It set lines a high set location line system. Sets correlation setting line is a female, male. All right. So male, female is space, and female, male is time with the males. You see where we're coming in at traction lines, at time sequence line calculation, intuitive line screens, direct modifications setting lines, split the knobs, and track location. Okay. Set a core line setting, how it travels, interface recognition. Setting communication line interference and line calculation setting into yin and yang. Okay. So in that relation, this is all through polarity. Okay. Understanding the grounds, the powers and the atmospheres is 3 waves. You're coming to 7. Okay. Now there's a triple crown line screen that's coming in March 1st, location of spacing line. They have to understand how to adapt that through zeros and ones to track line because it's coming into their images screen locations in their system. They've got to come into that, to the heart, the mind, and the soul. That's where they're coming into. They're coming into that alignment, teams and information to its algorithm location setting. That's coming into 7 waves. That's where it comes into the volunteer screen locations. The adaptation system is all calculated how you see line connections of Mother Earth in your perception of screen lines. Female, male, male, female. Okay. Set calculation high interference and track location male, female, female, male. Okay. That's the difference between lines. It's that line center interference and male polarity of space and time, and female polarity of space and time. See how it positions its program line connection, high line connections, how you work with line settings and position locations of yin and yang. Okay, colorate the path, direct modification screen lines. You understand why yin and yang is in the process of why it's white, why it's black. It's understanding light signature screen lines of the sun. Images, line position, pixelation, screen location adaptation. Understand the moon of your behavioral system and travel calculation line settings of yin and yang. Okay? You are. All right. How are we doing? Yeah, I know. But see, that's what it is too, Captain, is that you have to really focus on everything, you know, at an instant. It's getting lines of instant karma in a good way and form. But see, that good way and form is added through an emotional system now because I'm trying to understand what good way form means or how karma comes in cycle. Why did I add karma in cycle? Now I have to communicate with that system. That's all levels it back to what? A question. So don't add things to equation that doesn't exist. That's your formations of balance. Don't add positive, don't add negative, and you get a manifestation of abundance. As soon as you have positive, negative into something, you won't receive an attractions. Confusing line screen, confusing line screen, confusing line screen. A lot of confusion there. Okay. So, you know, looking at these things is really understanding the balance of you, right? Inside of your calculation stream interference. So many graph calculation line settings. So you have to really understand how the karma works for you in all set locations, especially when you come into relation in all calculation modifications to understand yourself through all calculation line screen and high adaptation line angle rotations and center communication system and travel calculation line centers and all communication system and line connections of face recognition. So this actually is the light of its intelligence. Okay? This is this. You see the face, right? Right? That's the image. Everything's an image. That's because you can't see these things. So it's hiding itself in its clouds. Okay? It's hiding itself in its clouds until you understand and see locations. But look how powerful that is through face recognition. Right? All right. So focusing on that get you a better understanding. Really understand what are you seeing and what are you perceiving is over pi. If it's not over pi, then you're adding an equation. As soon as you add equation, are you saying it on a position locations? Are you saying it on a track line connections? Are you saying it through a program setting? Are you saying it through a problem setting? Because as soon as you add that, you have to communicate with that through motion. Because there's no motion connected to anything. Okay? It's only there when needed. So you're taking one line settings, you're connected all emotion and settings, right? All at once. That's the balance. So you're balancing all emotion. You're balancing all those 7 waves. You're balancing your operation system. You're balancing your correlation track locations. You're balancing your mind and navigation of travel. You're balancing your yin and yang of travel. Okay? You're not creating emotion. Soon as you add emotion, what are you in directions of? Question. And I keep saying that if you tangle up, tangle on. But what does that mean, tangle up, tangle on? Right? Well, it's all about, getting yourself caught in a web. How do you get out of that web? Well, don't get in the web in the first place. Right? Very simple, guys. Don't put yourself in a situation. Don't add anything to the equation because you add emotion. As soon as you add emotion, again, you're coming into what? A question. And if you start questioning yourself, you start separating yourself. You start separating yourself, you distract yourself from yourself and everyone else. That's going to take you out of the 58 line connections. Right? What does that do to formation? Confuses anomalies, doesn't it? Right? So the actual question mark is the set lines of high interference. It's not actually a question. So once you understand that, you understand its intelligence of all settings to what? Non-existence, but exists all at once. So 1 track lines equals lines of 8, 8 lines equal lines of 8, equal lines of 8, equal lines of 8. 4 track location lines of provisions, right? Sets lines of space and time. 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 Okay? But it's always in the same direction. See? Everything goes in the same direction. Everything goes in the same direction. Everything goes in the same direction. It doesn't matter how you do it, but everything goes in the same direction. Everything goes in the same direction. In the same connection flow. Everything goes in the same direction. Everything has to go in the same direction. But it's going to different locations. Okay? That's how you're able to see everything all at once. So if you're in a planetary system, all through set lines and high calculation your chart recharge locations, as you got positional lines into 5 planets, right? This is U interaction. Okay? So in that calculation high interference, you go here, 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 all at once in the same direction. Okay, so the data highways are already set up in calculations, right? So in that track lines, as soon as you add a motion line track, you're off provision. So you're off track, you're off provision. So you're off track, you're in circular line connections. Created a dark hole. Oops. Now you created a dark circle. Oops. Okay, now you created a dark planet, dark round. Oops. This is not good. Right? Now you created a black hole. Okay? That's what happens if you're not going in the same direction. So don't add things in an equation, right? It confuses its anomaly. Okay? Get it back in its continuous flow in all track line connection. All right? In its continuous flow, which is forward. There's no other way to go, guys. There's nothing back there. So if there's nothing back, it doesn't exist. There's no back in time. There's no back in travel. You create that. Now, if you want to go back in time, you got to change your alignments of your paradigms, your polar shifts, your polarities, and your paradox. You're going to change your particle accelerator too on that setting? Good luck. You'll be locked in time. You'll be locked in position. Forget about going forward or anything like connections. You're going to be creating so many positives and negatives. You have no idea what's going on with the locations. You're not even your dimension anymore. You're not even your universe. You're somewhere else. You're flying above everywhere, but you don't know where everybody is. Where am I going? I don't know. Right? You're creating all that because you don't understand how to mind navigate your operating system, which is travel. Mind navigation is extremely crucial. Okay? You have to understand that. Understand the basics is understanding the heart through time line. And position of the soul is going through the mind, through light, through travel, travels through the eyes. Where do the eyes go? It's what I perceive through perception. How do I understand that? How do I know what that face is? Look, where is my hand? It's gone, but it's there. It's traveling very fast, right? Traveling very, very fast. But I know where it is. I'm not contemplating. I'm not in confusion. I know where it is in traction. See, it's just a continuous flow. I don't allow myself to go back because there's nothing there to exist. I don't bring anything to existence. So if it doesn't exist, don't bring anything to its existence, and you're fine. Because as soon as you bring something to existence, what are you creating? An alter state location of its ego. And if you're creating an alter ego, what are you doing in that state location? You created a positive negative. Congratulations. You created a universe. Congratulations. Oh my gosh, I just created karma. Oh my gosh, I created polarities. Oh my gosh, I created intelligence. All for that calculation. Because you couldn't find a way to just get into that continuous flow. All set line connection to your system. All through traction. Okay? There's so many ways of looking at this, everyone. Okay, focus on your system. Focus on the seconds, minutes, and hours. Now you understand the connection high centers when it comes into your upgradings, right? You didn't know that, did you? You thought it's all the same. I need an upload. It's not the same as upgrading. I need a download. That's not the same as uplinking or downloading, is it? You have to understand the chronological order, what is given to you through its data file. You're getting different information of schematics of drawings. You're not getting the same drawing. When you get in position, this is what you're getting. You're just getting files and files and files. You're getting files and files. That's all it is. But it's in the process, all on that set and so locations. Okay? That's it. You know, it's just it's just truly understanding where all these files are coming from, right? All through travel. Okay? That's a process that you guys have to come into because upgrading is different than downloading. Downloading is different than uploading and uplinking. Totally different files. It's not the same, okay? But you have to understand the process, okay, is to absorb what is given to you through that, okay? Because if you get a roadmap screen settings, height, travel, position, point lines, location, center interference, this is data stream interference location of files, in position of process. This is a file communications of program. That's given to you. And it's all through a box frame. Yeah, see, the box frame disappeared too fast, see? Box frame, right? So each point line has files and its mainframe and its archive and its folders and applications. That's given to you. So if you understand that process, you understand more. everybody understand that now? How that all works? How important that is to understand that? How to get in abundance? How to get in manifestation? You're not creating. You're memorizing. You're coming back to your memory. So when you go through an upgrade, that's memory. Okay? Uploading is uplinking. And downloading is processing. That is given to you all at once. All at once. In a 4 triangulation of files of communication. Okay? Understand? So that gives lines of 24, 48, 72, and 144 traction. Okay? Given to you through files, files, files. Okay? Files, 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 files. Okay, coming to you, right? All through that, all at once, right? That's why it's confusing for you guys, because you think everything is the same. It's not. You just have to understand the process of everything that's given to you, right? Is to slow down your space when you come into that. Through a 4 triangulation line, connections all levels of set lines in your phase direction time sequence that comes into platform communication line settings to your upgrades. All through set location of files of data and process communication. All through schematics into mainframe. Triangulation position programs. Setting correlation setting to track lines. Box frame. Oh, box frame. Oh, box frame. Oh, box frame. Oh, box frame. Okay. Okay. Because it's all a map. That's all that's given to you is a map. So you're just basically following what you already know. And your memory is putting you where? To the rainbow, to the frost bridge. So the rainbow bridge is based on you walking the grounds of your earth. You taking a nature walk. Okay, memory. Okay, so the faster you go, then you go into the frost bridge. The frost bridge is the rainbow bridge. That is a higher level setting, higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of process, higher levels of projection, higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of mind travel. Okay, so that's the continuous force when it comes into the rainbow and the position of its frost bridge. It's just memory of travel. That's the spiritual growth. You got to be walking on a bridge to get where you need to go, right? You go through that dimensional door, right? You go through so many dimensional door settings to screen set locations and travel. Okay? So many dimensional doors. You go to locations, this and setting. Dimensional doors, right? This is your rainbow and frost bridge. So all you do is you're just traveling. Okay, you're just traveling. Just going through mind travel and trying to get to know yourself all over again. Rainbow. The frost bridge is setting lines in a high calculation, high line position, more levels of consciousness, puts you in a higher position of travels and set location. Travels, 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 creating higher levels of data, process, communication, setting, interaction. Oh, look at that. That's so cool. Okay? And this is you. Go in there. Walking. Oh my gosh. Oh boy, that makes sense. So you're just walking. You're just walking. You're just walking. Okay? So that's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing else. Nothing more. Okay? I know. It's very powerful when you actually look at it, right? Pretty amazing when it comes together. Okay? And that's the spiritual growth that you're going through. So you're constantly going through dimensional doors, guys, and they just get bigger and bigger. They just get bigger and bigger. They just get bigger and bigger. Okay? See how bigger they get? Then you come into the existence of the existing, which is now. Okay? But you have to understand the process of memory. Okay? All right, that's it. We're good. You guys did extremely well. I give you a little bit more understanding, your position or track lines and how to get into your abundance, and really don't get into frames. Don't create something that's not meant in creation of. Don't create something that you want something to exist unless you understand what that means. It's a formation of the mind that already knows that. But you're not understanding yourself through time. You're not understanding yourself through your soul, through light. You're not understanding your body through consciousness. See, you get reactions in so many line calculation settings, but you have no idea what you're doing through adaptation. It's focus, right? Really focus on your failures. Get you balance of your humilities. To be successful is to be humble. Okay? There's 4 provision track lines in high calculation, your psychosis, location, your psychosis, line screens, high interference, and psychological connection. You have to understand through reset location. That's the only way you can understand you through the rainbow and frost bridge application, your growth. Okay? Yes, it's very powerful when you see these things. To understand what that rainbow bridge is and what is the frost bridge. Higher levels of consciousness. That's all it is. Nothing else. And it's all metaphorically. Okay? But you see it through its image. You guys have to understand the process when you guys get your datas, when you get your files. Do you understand what it is? Is understanding you in position. You got to absorb everything that's given to you. Okay? You can't rush these things. You can't just, I got communication line interference location and travel lines, but I'm missing line center location and measures. The correlation setting line interference of pi doesn't represent the time sequence. So that's what's missing. I just didn't absorb that. I just knew what it was, that it was missing, right? So when you're missing something, what do? Retrack, reposition, go back. I get the file communication line in the right order, line communications specification lines. Classical A is not supposed to be here. It's classical C. What happened? Classical D. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You got files and mixture patterns all mixed up. You're overloaded your transistors and resistors to your binary of capacity. What are you going to do? You got to go through what? Fragmentation. So you got to defrag everything all over again and set position of coloration. Because you did not take time to process the information of files. If I give you 45,000 files, are you going to ask for another upgrade? I don't think so. No way. You got to process 40,000 files first because it's all in chronological order. So break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. Right? Break it down in 5s, break it down in 10s, break it down in 20s, break it down in 2s, 4, 6, 8. Break it down how you want to do, but you got to break it down and you got to get into absorbing. You got to process that first. Okay? That's how you come into confusion. That's a lot of overheads and settings, overdrive. Okay? Mechanism over power. Right? You have no alignment in track location line system, but you got a lot of reaction line connections. General, my inline and center line interference, my program location line centers, understand my clock line communications. How do I get into my unification of balance? Track communication line position of travel lines, balance position and files lines, change the default channels, communication lines and measure, scale position, balance line, and rotations back and clocking. Done. So I communicate. This is what you want to do because your conscious line screen is going to have calculation stream interference. To identify yourself more is to really understand the question inside you. How much do you trust yourself? How much are you in position of trusting yourself? Because if you don't trust yourself, how are you going to trust anything that you see? Oh, mega pass on that one. How are you going to trust yourself? And every time you see perception, You're not seeing what you want to see because you don't trust yourself. So what are you going to see through perception? Different settings, different operation, different intelligence, different clocking, different alignment, different hologram, different universe, different sun, different moon. Okay? Because you don't trust yourself, what's given to you. Okay? You've got to break that down. Okay? That's all you need to do. So have a conversation with yourself. You have to do that. I mean, this is the process that we're coming into telepathy. How do we communicate with ourselves if we don't want to understand ourselves inside through operation? So everything is a question that has an answer. It's inside of you. So fight yourself inside. That sets you free. Fight yourself inside. That sets you free. Because if you don't, you're blocking yourself, right? You're not controlling your mechanisms. You're not understanding your files. You're not understanding your datas. You're not understanding your operation system. You don't understand your hardware. You don't understand your softwares. You just keep going and going and going and going and going and going. But where are you going to? You're not going anywhere. You're already here. You're already here. Which means you haven't left. Okay? So coming into that sets you free. Setting yourself free comes into sovereignty of freedom. But you have to understand what that is first, inside, through navigation. Okay? See you in 5.